Something a bit out of the norm for you today, as Helldivers is still up on deck, but we've got a bit more insight now into not only the release of the Killzone Collaboration, but also how it did financially. Welcome to the channel. This is 𝙀𝘶𝘾𝙀𝘶𝘀𝘀😀, and we're still going to check in on all the latest HD2 news, including the current Major Order, which, by the way, is rapidly winding down. But also for today, it seems to all be about armors, from before the game released up to the most recent Killzone Hellgast efforts. Now, if that sounds good to you, then stick around, because we need to quickly hear from today's video sponsor, me. Seriously though, if you could take a moment to hit subscribe, because when you do, YouTube sees that as a huge W, and in turn, it sends out this video and recommends the channel to even more sets of eyes. It's the fastest and zero-cost way to help out, and it's also greatly appreciated. Likes, comments, shares are equally as helpful, and don't forget to ring that notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Included in today's video are timestamps. Use them, don't use them. That's entirely up to you. Anyways, over to the galactic map we go, and the current Major Order is quickly wrapping up, and the status is thus. We've got Fenrir 3, while 𝙀𝘓𝘾𝙀𝘀𝘀𝘀𝘀 is still resisting our full efforts to complete the liberation. Now, barring a total collapse, there's little doubt that the Helldiver army will spread its collective democratic might fully across EP, but at what cost? You see, for every hour we are mired in battles on 𝙀𝘓𝘾𝙀𝘀𝘀𝘀, the Terminids are quickly engaging in territory expansions in the Falstaff sector, with Esker being absolutely blitzed and Socorro 3 also embroiled in an engagement. But so goes the Galactic War. For every planet gained, there seems to be another piece that is slowly taken away. Not to be outdone, the 𝙀𝘶𝑉𝑖𝑡 continue to play galactic hide-and-go-seek, this time popping up over on Hydrobius, pushing a level 6 invasion. Now, despite nearly 17,000 divers currently deployed there and putting in work, much like yesterday, the 𝙀𝘶𝑉𝑖𝑡 seem more hell-bent on irritating High Command, but nothing else, as win, lose, or draw, they immediately run to the Shadow Realm the second the campaign is over. And finally, for any divers out there with an itchy trigger finger and a desire to expend way too much ammo, today's daily task, besides hitting subscribe, is to down 200 foes using the Stalwart. Versus the bugs, chaff clearing duty is set at a premium, and with that much ammo on tap and targets coming from all angles, 200 kills for managed democracy is a task worthy of completion. In tribute to the TR-117 Alpha Commander armor that mysteriously has gone missing while in transit to PS divers, I've worn my set that thankfully arrived in one piece and completely unharmed. Now, this set was not only an early release Twitch drop, but was resurrected as another reward when Helldivers was plowing through this season's award ceremonies, granted to all Steam PC users by simply downloading it as a DLC. However, PlayStation divers are still out in the cold when it comes to this medkit-infused armor, with the original rollout date set for late last week, then pushed to today, and now sometime into the new year, according to the latest dispatch from community manager Mitchimus. It has come to our attention that our Christmas gifts to some of you were intercepted by the 𝙀𝘶𝑉𝑖𝑡, who were tipped off by a small band of voteless sympathizers in the warehouse. Please bear with us whilst we re-educate those responsible and work to reattain the supplies. We are aware of Helldivers not currently receiving the Alpha Commander and Killzone armors. We will investigate further in the new year. Grizzled Helldiver faithful have also been inquiring about long-lost and mysterious sets of armor, rumored to have once belonged to General Brash himself, as the TR-7 Ambassador of the brand, TR-9 Cavalier of Democracy, and TR-62 Knight armors were restricted to those early recruits who did not hesitate to pledge their undying loyalty to Super Earth. More recent recruits who have learned of these rare pre-order armor sets have begun to question Helldivers HQ for more information, eliciting a response from game director Cefez. The tricky part with the pre-order armors is that we basically made a promise to everyone who pre-ordered that they'd get exclusive access to those armors. Going back on that means breaking that promise, and it's something we need to consider. And the final piece of Armory-inspired news for today is that age-old ask of transmog being added to the Helldivers arsenal to not only protect us, but to flaunt our own creative freedom. Helldivers continue to request the ability to convert current armor sets into customized pieces of art, with the ability to mix and match armor passives with their favorite looks. And again, game director Cefez has stepped up and responded. I know we have some strong opinions swaying both ways internally, so it's a mixed bag for us. I can't really promise anything, but we are having discussions about this. Alright, let me know your opinions on these armor asks and delays by, of course, dropping a comment, but for me, I was hopeful Arrowhead could deliver the promised TR-117 on time to all those that should have received it, and delays are never helpful. It's not a revolutionary piece of armor, and we have plenty of current sets with medkit on them, but still, I can kind of understand all sides of this one. Now, as far as the pre-order bonus armors, well, if they were promised to be exclusive, then they should stay exclusive. End of story. And the concept of transmog, which I believe we've already seen Johan say that he is very much against, I'd personally prefer to have the ability to custom color my favorite armors, almost like a shader system, over being able to mix and match armor sets with passives. But again, drop me a comment and let me know where you stand on any or all of these armor-related questions. Today's lead story is last week's Killzone Collaboration, which landed in Helldivers with quite a bit of thunder. Not only was it Helldivers' first collab effort, it was one of the new breed of premium warbond offerings to appear in the Superstore, and there's actually several sub-stories floating around under the surface on this one. The first was the price. It was double that of a standard warbond and had less than half the items that Helldiver players were accustomed to seeing, and while the weapon was nothing special, the armor set and exclusive passive was overall pretty damn strong. For some players, this was a case of too much, way too soon, and the entire adventure was a shock to their systems, and so they naturally pushed back through whatever channels they found available, albeit Steam, Discord, Reddit, and or social posts, and the entire thing just started to blow up in Arrowhead's face, especially when players were educated with two additional pieces of information. Number one was, this had originally leaked as a Killzone-themed warbond before being split up and sold as single-page exclusives, with a second page to be released a few days later and naturally costing even more super credits. And the second item were comments made by Arrowhead's CEO, Shams Georgiani, who at the time said the quiet part out loud. The more of this we sell, the more Illuminate-type stuff we can keep dropping for free. That comment went down about as well as expected, and not only did it highlight Arrowhead's desperate need to have a cohesive approach to communication, it also prompted them to take a step back and to reevaluate their next steps very carefully. We know what followed: a statement admitting the errors and the release of the entire second page of the Killzone Collaboration for free. Full stop. Or is it? Because thanks to Steam, we've now got a piece to this puzzle, and it's a pretty damn big piece at that. You see, Steam is a disclosure geek's ally, making available many stats we would otherwise not be privy to. Steam's top sellers list is where we now turn, and contrary to what you may think, this ranking is not based on sales, it's based on dollars generated. Thanks to the publicity Helldivers was seeing during the awards season, culminating with their strong showing at the Game Awards, sales numbers of the game itself were already trending upwards. Nothing drastic, but good publicity never hurts. So, if the game is 10 months old, meaning it's already seen its most explosive return of initial sales, which would have been at launch, how in the hell does a game that initially sold for $40 and is currently discounted by 20% on Steam make it all the way to the number 3 spot on the top sellers list, besting Cyberpunk, Baldur's Gate, Black Ops 6, Stalker, and Space Marine 2? In fact, the only game that is currently capable of outrunning Helldivers 2 for money generated is Path of Exile 2. Now, back to the answer to that question of how Helldivers vaulted that high up onto the charts. And the answer is sales generated, and not the game copies themselves. No. This is for the sales of the in-game purchases, not only the Urban Legends Warbond, but also the first rollout of the Killzone Collaboration. Super credits are earned in games, so they obviously wouldn't affect this chart, and Steam wouldn't care about those anyway because they don't see a cut of in-game earnable items. But money, Steam does care about because they see a handsome cut of anything a player has to use a credit card to purchase. Clearly, Arrowhead swung for the fences with this collaboration, and based on these charts, it has paid off, quite literally. That's a metric crap ton of Killzone you have to sell to get up that high, that quickly on those Steam charts. And even when you have to factor in the Steam platform cut and the licensing fees, which in theory wouldn't be all that steep, as Killzone as an IP is owned by PlayStation, so both games already have that in common. Anyways, Arrowhead did exactly what they set out to do. And perhaps the page 2 free reward and walkback was made that little bit easier to part with, knowing what they had managed to achieve with the page 1 initial sales. Now, we may never get the full story with the exact figures and dollars generated, but despite the player pushback and backlash, Arrowhead profited quite well from the round 1 of this premium Warbond release. And it also shows that there's a market out there for this kind of content to be brought into the Helldivers franchise, especially if they, Arrowhead, can tone it back a few notches the next time around. I'll leave a link to the Steam Top 100 down in the video description in case you want to check it out for yourselves, but what a fascinating story. That's something to be able to vault into the top 10 despite not releasing a new game or massive DLC expansion, and that story deserves our recognition. And if you're interested in anything or everything Helldivers, I've got a 100+ video playlist you can find here that takes you through anything and everything to do with this incredible franchise. Remember to leave me any questions or comments you have, and I'll do my best to respond. If you want to help out the channel, again, hit subscribe and ring that notifications bell so you never miss one of my future upload alerts. All my socials, including my awesome Helldiver Discord link, can be found down in the video description. Thank you so much for the continued support, and until the next one, this is 𝙀𝘶𝘾𝙀𝘶𝘀𝘿 signing off.